For more than 2 decades, Hassan Nasrallah, the Secretary General of Hezbollah, avoided public appearances out of fear that he would be assassinated. On Friday, he was targeted and killed by the Israelis. To penetrate the bunkers where Hezbollah leadership generally met, Israeli officials said that they dropped 80 bombs in the period of several minutes. Hassan Nasrallah was by far the most powerful leader of all the proxy forces that Iran has built in the region, not only making Hezbollah a force in Lebanon, but also reaching throughout the Middle East. His most elite fighters were instrumental in shoring up the rule of President Bashar al-Assad of Syria, another important Iranian ally, after he faced a popular uprising that started in 2011. In addition, Hezbollah, which was designated a terrorist organization by the United States, had also trained fighters for Hamas as well as for militias in Iraq and Yemen. His reputation was very divided. To the Israelis and to his enemies, he was a violent terrorist, and to his supporters, he was kind of an almost mystical figure who had lifted the Shiite Muslims out of their second-class status in Lebanon. He took over Hezbollah in 1992 at the age of 32, after his predecessor had been incinerated by an Israeli missile, and he built the organization from kind of a guerrilla underground force to a political party in Lebanon. I met him for an interview in 2002 in the dense urban neighborhoods of southern Beirut that are a Hezbollah stronghold, and where he was ultimately assassinated. We were sitting on the floor in a small room. You couldn't see any windows or anything. Pictures was the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, and his son Hadi, who was killed in 1997 in a firefight with the Israelis in southern Lebanon. Even though he says these terribly fierce things about violence and, threatens Israel repeatedly, he would joke, when we sat down, he said, if you're expecting me to say death to America, it's not going to happen here because I use that for my rallies. The last time Nasrallah spoke remotely to his followers was on September 19th.
العدو تجاوز في هذه العملية كل الضوابط والقوانين والخطوط الحمراء.
And he said, of course, that Hezbollah would respond at a time and a place of its own choosing. Israel was evidently trying to destabilize this organization, and clearly the death of a charismatic leader who has led it for more than 30 years is going to create a certain amount of disarray. Even though the supreme leader in Iran has said that Hezbollah does not depend on any one leader, and there's already talk of who the successor might be, he's going to be very difficult to replace, and it will take some time before we see how Hezbollah emerges from losing both its leader and many of his top military lieutenants.